We live in an age of perceived invincibility, Don Tiwi. Our cities, shining beacons of technology and progress, hum with the promise of endless tomorrows. We gaze at our towering skylines, our intricate networks of knowledge, our vast libraries, and we unconsciously believe them to be eternal. We assume the safeguards are in place, that the mechanisms of order will always hold. But imagine for a moment that your world, vibrant and secure, could shatter in the blink of an eye. Imagine the libraries, repositories of centuries of wisdom reduced to ash. Imagine the bustling streets teeming with life and commerce, suddenly silent, then filled with screams. Imagine your entire civilization, the very fabric of your existence, unraveling not over centuries but in days, hours. This isn't a dystopian fantasy, it is the chilling, heart-wrenching reality of what happened to one of humanity's greatest achievements. This is the story of Baghdad, the city of peace, and its unimaginable fall in 1258, a cataclysm that still whispers a stark warning across the centuries, a reminder of civilization's terrifying fragility. Baghdad, in the year of our Lord 1258, was not merely a city. It was the beating heart of the Islamic Golden Age, a metropolis of unparalleled splendor and intellect. From its circular walls, designed by the Abbasid Caliph al-Mansur in the 8th century, emanated an aura of sophistication that captivated the world. Under rulers like Harun al-Rashid and al-Ma'mun, Baghdad had flourished into a global beacon of learning, science, and art. The House of Wisdom, or Bayt al-Hikma, was not just a library but a colossal academy where scholars from across the known world translated, debated, and innovated. Mathematics blossomed, astronomy mapped the heavens, medicine advanced cures, and philosophy grappled with the profound questions of existence. Its bazaars, a kaleidoscope of color and sound, offered silks from China, spices from India, and amber from the Baltic, each transaction a testament to its vast commercial network. The Tigris River, a silver ribbon through its heart, carried the bounty of an empire, its banks lined with palaces, mosques, and academies that glowed with an eternal light of knowledge and devotion. I walk these streets in my mind the year 1257, a whisper before the storm. The air is thick with the scent of roasted meat, exotic perfumes, and the sweet tang of dates. The melodic chants of calligraphers dictating verses intertwine with the animated discussions of philosophers in courtyards shaded by date palms. I see students poring over illuminated manuscripts, their faces alight with discovery. The clinking of goldsmiths' hammers, the rustle of fine fabrics in the merchant stalls, the distant cry of a muezzin calling the faithful to prayer, it all coalesces into a symphony of thriving humanity. There's a palpable energy, a confidence born of centuries of dominance. The people move with a certain grace, a quiet pride in their achievements. No one speaks of vulnerability. No one imagines this grand edifice could crumble. The sun shines brightly on a civilization that believes itself unassailable, eternal. It is a breathtaking vision of human potential, perfected and preserved. But even as Baghdad basked in its golden glow, a storm of unprecedented ferocity was gathering on the horizons of the east. The name itself, Mongol, struck terror into the hearts of men from the steppes of Central Asia to the plains of Hungary. For decades, under the leadership of Genghis Khan and his successors, these nomadic warriors had swept across vast swathes of Eurasia, leaving a trail of shattered empires and depopulated cities. Samarkand, Bukhara, Nishapur, once vibrant centers, now desolate ruins. The world had witnessed their efficiency, their brutality, and their seemingly unstoppable advance. In the mid-13th century, the spearhead of this relentless tide was Hulagu Khan, grandson of Genghis, whose mission was clear: to extinguish the remaining strongholds of Islamic power and specifically to conquer Baghdad. The whispers began subtly, carried by weary travelers arriving from the east, tales of destruction, of cities razed, of rivers running red. At first they were dismissed as exaggeration, the panicked ramblings of survivors. Baghdad, the caliphate's heart, surely too mighty, too sacred to fall, but the whispers grew louder, more insistent. Hulagu's army, a vast and terrifying host, was moving, its destination, the city of peace. Caliph al-Mustasim, the last Abbasid caliph, a man more concerned with luxury and pleasure than with military preparedness, made a series of catastrophic misjudgments. He dismissed the warnings, refused to adequately fortify his city, and maintained only a meager standing army, believing that his spiritual authority alone would deter the invaders, or that Muslim rulers would rush to his aid. They did not. I feel the shift in the city's pulse in those late months of 1257. The merchants in the bazaar are less boisterous, their smiles a little thinner. The scholars, once lost in their texts, now gather in hushed groups, their brows furrowed with worry. The easy confidence has evaporated, replaced by a low thrum of anxiety. The air itself feels heavy, charged with an unspoken dread. I hear the distant, disquieting tales of Persian cities falling, the sheer scale of the Mongol destruction described with a chilling calm that makes it all the more terrifying. The news arrives not by official decree but by word of mouth, spreading like a contagion. The caliph's court, notoriously riddled with intrigue and paralyzed by inaction, offered no comfort. It felt like watching a slow-motion catastrophe unfold, an impending doom that no one in power seemed able or willing to avert. The city, once so vibrant, now holds its breath, a collective gasp echoing in the approaching silence. By January 1258, the theoretical threat became a terrifying reality. Hulagu Khan's army, an estimated 150,000 to 200,000 strong, a multi-ethnic, multi-religious force including Christian contingents, encircled Baghdad. The sheer scale was unimaginable. The city, accustomed to its impenetrable aura, now found itself staring at a horizon choked with an enemy that seemed endless. Hulagu demanded surrender. Al-Mustasim, in his fatal arrogance, refused, sending a defiant, almost childish message that the caliphate was too holy to be attacked. The Mongols, who respected only strength, took this as an insult. The siege began. Catapults hurled massive stones, archers rained down arrows, and siege engines battered the ancient walls. I stand on the battlements, high above the Tigris, the wind whipping my hair. Below, a sea of hostile faces stretches as far as the eye can see. Their banners, stark and alien, ripple in the chill air. The rhythmic thud of their war drums vibrates through my very bones, a primal, unnerving sound that speaks of relentless power. The air smells of dust, sweat, and something else, a metallic tang that promises blood. The cries of the Mongol soldiers, their guttural shouts, are like nothing I have ever heard, stripping away any illusion of civilized warfare. My hands clench on the rough stone of the parapet, cold and unyielding, yet offering little comfort. The defenses, once thought formidable, now seem fragile, crumbling under the weight of such an overwhelming force. The realization sinks in, heavy and cold, that this is not a skirmish, not a raid. This is an extinction event. The fear is a living thing, a tightening in my chest, a dryness in my throat, a deep, sickening dread that whispers, "There is no escape." Days bled into weeks, each marked by relentless assault and dwindling hope. The defenders, few in number and poorly led, fought valiantly, but they were outmatched. Supplies dwindled, morale plummeted, and the air grew thick with despair. The caliph, still clinging to delusions of grandeur, attempted to negotiate, sending envoys with paltry gifts which Hulagu scornfully rejected. Accusations of treachery circulated, specifically leveled against the caliph's vizier, Ibn al-Hikma, who some historians claim either intentionally weakened Baghdad's defenses or encouraged the caliph's disastrous underestimations. Whether true or not, the internal divisions only exacerbated the city's plight. A desperate sortie by the caliph's forces ended in utter disaster, their retreat cut off by the Mongols, who then annihilated them by flooding their escape route. The exhaustion on the faces of the city's remaining defenders is a heavy pall, visible even from a distance. Their eyes are hollow, their movements slow. The hope, once a faint ember, has been extinguished, replaced by a dull, aching resignation. After another day of relentless bombardment, a chilling silence descends upon the city. It is not the silence of peace, but the quiet before the storm breaks, the tense hush of a trapped animal. Then, the decision is made. The gates, those grand portals that had once welcomed caravans and scholars, creak open, not by force but by a chilling, deliberate act of surrender. I hear a collective gasp, a sound that is both a sigh of relief and a sob of profound despair. It's the sound of a city admitting defeat, of a civilization laying down its arms. The realization hits with the force of a physical blow. The barbarians are not just at the gate, they are invited in. What followed the opening of the gates on February 10, 1258, was an inferno that would scar the collective memory of humanity for centuries. For 10 agonizing days, Baghdad was subjected to a systematic, brutal sack. The Mongols, having been denied a swift, clean victory, unleashed their full fury. Their disciplined ranks, usually so precise in battle, became a chaotic tide of destruction. No one was spared. Men, women, children, all were indiscriminately slaughtered. The streets, once paved with commerce and culture, ran slick with blood. Estimates of the dead range from 100,000 to a million, a human cost so immense it almost defies comprehension. The smell of smoke is the first thing, acrid and choking, burning my throat. Then the screams, constant, echoing from every alleyway, every courtyard. The city becomes a symphony of horror. The clang of swords, the guttural shouts of the invaders, the terrified cries of the dying. I see the magnificent House of Wisdom, once a sanctuary of intellect, engulfed in flames. Its countless books, the accumulated knowledge of a millennium, curling, blackening, turning to ash. The Tigris River, legend says, ran black with the ink of the destroyed manuscripts, then red with the blood of the massacred scholars and citizens. I walk over the scattered remains of intricate pottery, torn tapestries, and broken instruments, the debris of a shattered civilization. Each crunch underfoot is a violation. My eyes sting from the smoke, but also from the horror unfolding before them. A child's doll, discarded and stained, lies in the gutter. The taste of ash is on my tongue, bitter and metallic. There is no escape from the sights, the sounds, the sheer overwhelming weight of despair. Every beautiful thing, every learned thing, every innocent life is being extinguished. One by one, the roar of the flames becomes the city's eulogy. On February 20, the Caliph al-Mustasim was executed. Accounts differ, but one particularly brutal telling suggests he was rolled into a carpet and trampled to death by horses, as the Mongols believed that royal blood should not touch the earth. With him died the Abbasid Caliphate, an institution that had provided religious and political legitimacy to much of the Islamic world for over 5 centuries. Baghdad, once the jewel of the East, was a charnel house. Its libraries were destroyed, its mosques defiled, its palaces looted and burned. The irrigation systems, vital for the region's agriculture, were ruined, turning fertile land into arid waste. The intellectual heart of Islam was ripped out, its pulsing energy stilled, its light extinguished. The surviving population was scattered, traumatized, their lives irrevocably altered. I walk through the ruins in the eerie aftermath. The silence is profound, broken only by the mournful wind whistling through skeletal structures. The smell of decay hangs heavy, a sickening testament to the massacre. Where once vibrant markets thrived, only rubble remains. The ornate arches of mosques now stand as gaunt ribs against the sky, their domes collapsed. The once bustling courtyards of the House of Wisdom are now vast, empty spaces, the ground covered in a thick layer of ash and charred fragments of parchment. I touch a half-burned page, the faint outline of Arabic script still visible, a fragment of a lost world. The profound sense of absence is crushing. It is not just buildings that are gone, but a spirit, an intellectual momentum, a collective dream. The question echoes in the desolate air: why? The struggle to comprehend such utter, comprehensive devastation, the deliberate eradication of so much beauty and knowledge, leaves an ache deep in the soul. The fall of Baghdad in 1258 was more than just a military defeat. It was a profound trauma for Islamic civilization and, indeed, for all of humanity. What was lost? Not just lives and libraries, but centuries of potential. What scientific breakthroughs might have been made, what philosophical insights might have illuminated the path forward, what artistic masterpieces might have graced the world. We can only speculate, grieve for the unwritten chapters, for the knowledge that vanished into smoke and dust. The intellectual capital of the world was decapitated, and though other centers of learning would eventually rise, the momentum, the continuity, was irrevocably broken. The political landscape of the Middle East was redrawn, paving the way for new powers, but at an immeasurable cost. The Mongols, after their initial destructive fury, would eventually embrace Islam, but the initial blow had been struck, and its reverberations continue to echo. I stand here in the present, gazing across the vast chasm of history, and the weight of that event is almost palpable. The story of Baghdad is not just a tale of ancient conquest. It is a chilling parable for every civilization that believes itself secure. It reminds us of the terrifying fragility of our achievements, of how quickly the most sophisticated societies can descend into chaos, how easily knowledge can be obliterated, and how vital it is to protect the foundations upon which our world is built. It asks us to confront the what-if scenarios. What if the Caliph had acted differently? What if the neighboring Muslim states had come to his aid? What if humanity had never lost the treatises on optics, the advancements in algebra, the medical insights? The ghosts of Baghdad whisper a warning: value what you have, defend your knowledge, and never, ever take the delicate balance of civilization for granted. For the crimson tide, once unleashed, knows no mercy. Its echoes resonate still, a constant, solemn reminder of a light that was extinguished and a world irrevocably changed. Civilization for granted.